Okay, here we are. This spreadsheet does some cool stuff. It allows you to have one investment, but to use that one investment for multiple savings goals or categories. From this screen, you can see that we have emergency fund, kids college saving, new car, new roof, maintenance fund, Reserve A. You can change the name of that to something else later if you want to, but don't change it on this page. This is just a summary page. As you can see down the bottom, it's the summary sheet. Reserve B, also you can change the name. And Reserve C. Really, the only thing you would enter in this sheet is in the yellow boxes. I always use yellow boxes to tell users where to input. And if you wanted to take today's value for this fund, if you typed it in here, say today's value is $14,500, you type that in, it will automatically tell what your balances are on these funds based on what the percentages is. So it might have grown over the past, couple weeks since you last made a transaction, and you'd want to enter the new one here if you want to see the most up-to-date balances. If you want to see the balances just based on the last time you made an entry, they are automatically shown in this area. Now let's go over to the ledger sheet by clicking down here at the bottom. Most of what you enter will be on the ledger. So here we show you how to work with a ledger. Each entry on the ledger has two lines for entry, two rows. One row where you enter some information and see some information, and a second gray row, which is just a continuation. You enter inputs for calculations in the yellow highlighted cells. That includes the date, you must enter the balance for the whole investment fund, which is close to the left-hand side, and then any amounts that you're going to deposit or withdraw for each savings goal, the where things are allocated to. You enter numbers in there if you want to or need to. You won't fill out all of those, just the ones where you're making a withdrawal or where you're depositing money. After you enter the numbers in the yellow cells, it will automatically calculate for you the balance of the entire fund, where it says new balance in the gray row, and it will also calculate the amount and percentage allocated to each of your savings goals. Okay, here we are on the ledger. It's blank right now, but you could start filling some of it in. For instance, maybe you want it splits everything into allocation buckets. So looking right here, I made this one blank, but you can type something in here, anything you want. I'll call this emergency savings. And I'll also say what my goal is there of 60,000. And likewise, you could change the names of all these, and it goes all the way out to here. And this is how many different savings goals you can have for your investments in the S&P 600 small cap value ETF. So all this money is in one ETF, and I have to know how much is apportioned to each of these savings goals. And this is what that spreadsheet does. So the first thing to do is, let's say on January 1st, let's say I put $4,500 into the emergency fund. So I'll put that here. Let's say I put $2,000 in the college savings and $1,000 towards a new car. Once you do that, you can see that it says 60% of the $7,500, the new balance is $7,500 after I did those. 60% of it, or $4,500, is an emergency. 26.7%, or $2,000, is in kids, and 13.3% is a new car. And this should add up to 100%, which it does. Now let's say on 3/19, I go to do another transaction. This time my air conditioner broke, so I'm going to withdraw money to replace the air conditioner. And where would I withdraw this money from? I'll take it out of my emergency savings, and it say it's $3,000. So I'll type in negative $3,000 because it's a withdrawal. And I'll hit tab. Now, you see that the new balance is $3,000 because it's really critical that you put the balance of the fund, how much the SPDR S&P 600 is worth on 3/19. Let's suppose it went up $200. It's no longer $7,500, but it's now $7,700. Now it recalculates all that, and so I took $3,000 out, but the value was $7,700. It drops it to $4,700. It came out of this fund, and that changes the percentage that's in the emergency to 34.68. The amount I have in kids' college, it went up to $2,053 because the investment went from $7,500 to $7,700, and 26% of that extra $200 gives us an extra $53 here. And this thing is really good at doing those types of things. So after I do all this, it drops down to the calculation field. It keeps it there because I didn't withdraw or add anything in here. So I expect these two numbers to be the same, just like I expect these two numbers to be the same. All right, and let's say on April 2nd, I decide to do something else. Let's say that I add $306 to the, let's say I put $1,500 in for a new roof. So let's go to new roof, and I'll put $1,500 in. And now you can see that it has a balance of $1,500. That's not good, though, that none of these other have balances. And why is that? Because you always have to put the balance for the small cap fund, this time on April 2nd, in here. Let's say on April 2nd that the value went, it was $4,700. Let's say it went up to $4,900. Now you get the right numbers. You always have to have these yellow boxes filled in, down to the date that you're on. And we'll keep going. So I'll go ahead and pause and add some more of these. Oh, actually, let me show you what happens if the fund goes down. So let's say on April 3rd, the fund goes down to, it was at $6,400. Let's say it's at $6,050. So it went down from $4,900 to $6,050. These are what the new percentages are. They should be the same as the old percentages, unless I do another transaction. And this time I said I was going to add to the maintenance fund. So when I add to the maintenance fund over here, let's say I add $400 to the maintenance fund. That'll change these percentages. Now this percentage no longer matches this percentage, but the dollars stayed relatively the same. It was $21.40. It dropped to $20.23 because the overall investment lost value. Before on April 2nd, it was worth $6,400. Then on April 3rd, the entire value of the fund was $6,050. After I deposited my $400 into the maintenance fund, it brings it up to the new balance of $6,450. So just wanted to show you that the fund can actually go down. From here, it went from $6,400 to $6,050 before I go on. So I went ahead and filled in some more samples for all this before I show you what to do once you've used up the number of rows or entries on the ledger. Then you have to be able to add more rows to the ledger, which I will show you next. Okay, so now we have the entire ledger filled out to the bottom row. In this case, it's row 18 and 19. But you're actually better off always leaving one row blank so it's easier to copy. But let's say you filled it out to all these rows. How would you add the next entry? You simply click on the 18 and drag down to the 19, select those last two rows, and then right click and hit copy. Or you could have hit the copy from up here at the top of the screen. I'll use the top of the screen for this one. So hit copy, then I just click down below it, and then I'll paste it. This looks a little bit bizarre because it copied all the transactions from before. So it was at $10,600. We said the new value, it dropped to $7,160, which doesn't make any sense. Then added $3,000. It's a bit confusing. So if you copy like that with numbers already existing in it, you got to make sure all the yellow rows, all the yellow cells for what you've copied for a new transaction area are blank. And then you're fine. The balance should be $10,160. If I go over to the summary sheet, you'll see that the total balance is $10,160. You'll see for the emergency savings goal, it's $4,803. If I go back to the ledger, it's also $4,803 over here. As long as it grabs the numbers from the latest date on the summary sheet. So the latest date here is 7/30, and it's going to get the numbers for 7/30. All right. So go ahead and delete this too, because it's going to be a different type of transaction. Now you could fill this in like before and add more to it. What I suggest is that you always have one blank row at the bottom, so it's easy to copy and add new transactions. So what I would do is when this is here, just one left, I'd select it. I'd hit copy. And then after I copied it, I'd go below it and I'd paste it. And this won't mess anything up. So you can paste a bunch of these if you wanted to. Just make your ledger longer. And now that your ledger is longer, you can add more and more pieces as you do more transactions or withdrawals or deposits into each of the subcategories, and keep this going. And when you go over to your summary, notice that there's $10,160 in the ledger, and when you go over to the summary, there's $10,160 at the top. If you wanted to check how much is in each account, but you're not doing a transaction, you're not doing a deposit or withdrawal, again, in this yellow box, you could just enter what today's value is. For instance, maybe the S&P Spider fund that you have is worth $11,000 today. Hit that, and it automatically tells you how much is in each of the savings goals or categories, how much is allotted to each of those from this $11,000. Anyway, thank you for joining us for this Association of Objective Journalists slideshow spreadsheet on objective personal finance. You can find us at objectivejournalist.com. Again, that's objectivejournalist.com. If you go there, you can also download this spreadsheet for free for your own personal use. So to download this spreadsheet, go to objectivejournalist.com to the Objective Personal Finance section, and you can download this spreadsheet for free and use it yourself. Again, thanks for joining and watching our video.